everyone. Welcome to Chapter 21, our final chapter in the semester, in the whole course. Which means when we finish this chapter, we will have done the whole book between ACC 101 and 102. This is a problem I chose to do the presentation with you tonight. And it is just like your last homework problem, which is the one lab I assigned in Chapter 21. It's just like 2155A, which is your homework problem assignment in this chapter. It's actually exactly even worded like it, the same requirements, it's just different numbers. So I did it all up ahead of time so it would be neater and it wouldn't eat up all the time for me writing on the board. So I'm going to go over the steps with you. Okay, let me sit so I can read the problem to you. Okay, this is on the bottom of 1189. It's about famous production, and they perform shows in London. The average show sells 1,000 tickets at $60 each. There are 175 shows a year. No additional shows can be held as the theater is used by other production companies. In other words, that's their capacity. That's as much as they can do. Okay? The evening show has a cost of, the average show, has a cost of $60, each earning a net average of 300. They have 60, each show has a cast of 60 people. Each person has a net average of $320 per show. The cast is paid after each show. The other variable cost is a program printing cost at $8 per guest. And the annual fixed costs are $459,200. That's a lot of information, a lot of numbers. And that's because they want you to produce a lot. They want you to use some of the ratios we learned within the chapter. And as you know, if you read the instructions for Chapter 21, I only had you go up to page 1142, which is about 2/3 of the chapter. Because the ratios just go on, and I figured it was enough up to that point. I brought you up to the graph. So, anyhow, this utilizes some of the ratios that we learned. So, let's start. Requirement 1. It's easier if I'm down here and I can read. Compute revenue and variable cost for each show. That's requirement 1. Okay, so we're going to use some of those numbers. This is requirement 1, the sales revenue per show. 1,000 tickets, right, at $60 each. That's cost per unit. So they're going to earn $60,000 for every show. So the variable cost per show would be the cost of the performers plus the cost of printing the programs. So if there's 60 performers at $320 each, right, multiply that, $19,200 for the people, the actors, plus the cost of printing the programs, 1,000 guests, right, because you sold 1,000 tickets at $8 each, $8,000. So your variable cost, the cost that fluctuates with volume, is $27,200 per show. And that's all you need for requirement 1. So not too bad. Okay. Then in requirement 2, I'm going to sit a minute so I can read it. Use the equation approach to compute the number of shows famous must perform each year to break even. So we have to use, there's 3 ways to get the break even number in units or dollars, depending on what you want here. They want the units, the number of shows. They want us to use the hardest one, which is the equation way. So, let's go to requirement 2. I say it's the hardest one because you have to sort of flip the formula around, and nobody likes flipping formulas around, but we do have to do it to get our units. But still, it's not bad. Net sales revenue, right, minus variable costs minus fixed costs would equal operating income. And when you're talking break even, operating income is going to be 0, no profit. Total revenue minus total cost equals 0. That's the true definition of break even. When do you break even? You covered all of your costs, both variable and fixed, with the money you made. Okay? So again, we're using the equation approach, which means we have to rearrange it. So here's the net sales revenue, 60,000 times the number of shows. That's what we're going to solve for. We need the number of units to break even, which in this case is shows performed, minus the variable cost, which is 27,200 times the number of shows. We don't know that. We're going to find out. Minus the fixed cost, which is the very last thing they told us, 459,200, equals 0. So we've set up our equation. Okay? Now we're going to start combining it. 60,000 minus the 27,200 times the number of shows. Again, that's what we don't know. Okay? Combine those, 32,800, which is the, minus. 60,000 minus the 27,200 variable cost is 32,800 times, again, the unknown, the number of shows, equals fixed cost, 459,200. So far, so good, right? Now we need the number of shows. We're going to flip this to the other side of the equation and solve for number of shows. So we're going to divide each side by 32,800. So it leaves number of shows, don't you just love algebra, equals 459,200 divided by the 32,800, which was the net sales revenue minus variable cost, right? Now we can easily get, when we do that division, the number of shows to break even is only 14. So if these people do 175 maximum a year, they're going to make a ton, is what I thought when I did requirement 2. They're going to make a ton. They're breaking even at 14. They can do up to 175. That's millions of dollars. Well, we'll see as we go along. So here's the break-even shows. Okay, this is the hardest part, I think, because of the rearranging of the equation. Notice requirement 4, I put here, it's because it's short, and that's the contribution margin income statement. I'm going to do that after we do requirement 3, which is 3 different formulas. So let's see what they want. Requirement 3. Use the contribution margin ratio approach to compute the number of shows needed each year to earn a target profit of $4,264,000. Is this profit goal realistic? Give your reason. Okay, so we're going to do the easier way, the contribution margin ratio approach. Okay, we don't have to rearrange any formulas here. So the contribution margin ratio is the contribution margin, net sales minus variable costs. We already know that's 32,800. We've done that already. Divided by the sales revenue, we already know that's 60,000. Okay? All you have to do is divide 32,800 divided by the net sales revenue of 60. Contribution margin ratio is 54.67%, which is pretty good. That means that's how much percentage of the net sales revenue is available to cover all the fixed costs. So the second one is the required sales in dollars to earn a target profit of $4,264,000. So for that, we need our fixed cost of $459,200 plus our target profit for the numerator, $4,264,000, divided by that contribution margin ratio of 54.67. So add them up for the numerator, $4,723,200. I just added fixed cost and the target profit they're looking for, divided by that contribution margin ratio of 54.67. The required sales they need in dollars to make that profit that they want is $8,629,473. As we kind of figure here, only 14 shows, they're already breaking even, right? So how many shows do they have to do in units to make their target profit of the $4,264,000? That's the last requirement of 3. So required sales in units would be the required sales in dollars divided by the sales price per unit. Okay? So the required sales in dollars is what we just got, 8,639,473, we got in the second one, divided by the sales per unit, and that's the 60,000 for every show. If they do 144 shows out of the 175 they could do, they will earn that target profit of $4,264,000. It's extremely realistic. As I kind of squeezed in down here, since the maximum is 175, the profit goal is realistic of $4,264,000. They could actually earn more than what they're targeting. So, for the very last step, number 4, I believe that requirement goes on to the next page, 1190. Let me just see, yep. Okay, prepare Famous Productions contribution margin ratio income statement for the 175 shows performed in 2018. So this is when they did do 175 shows the year prior. So they want the contribution margin ratio. Did I put, yeah, I put 2018. So here's their income statement for contribution margin. Sales revenue, $60,000 for each show, times 175 shows, which is their max that they can do, $10,500,000. So you can see that's way above, right? The 144. The variable cost per show we know is $27,200. See, we're using numbers we already got. Times 175 shows, $4,760,000. So that means the contribution margin, $5,740,000. Fixed cost, okay, $459,200. You know, fixed costs don't change over the relevant range. Relevant range means the capacity from the smallest to the largest. Fixed costs remain the same, $459,200. Operating income minus the fixed cost from the contribution margin. Operating income over $5 million at max capacity, $5,280,800. So use of many of the concepts in the chapter are all in this problem. So that's all I have. It is exactly like your homework problem, the very last homework problem you are assigned for the whole semester. So this is my last video. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.